Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and now that all of the film has been watched and the grades are finalized, it's time to break down the 2019 NFL Draft prospect rankings. Before we dive into the prospect rankings video, let's take a look at how we go about grading these guys on film. For the skill positions, we take a look at a prospect's best and worst games statistically and the best matchup before we finalize his film grade. And from there, the player is assigned a grade on a 100-point scale. We don't believe in the term backup per se. If you're in the NFL, you're one of the best players at your position, so we consider you a starter in waiting, or at least that's how I would look at it if I'm a GM or a head coach. So without further ado, let's dive into the video with our #1 graded prospect at the position. Devon White of LSU earns top billing as Football Game Plan Scouting's #1 inside linebacker for the 2019 draft class. White, a former running back, has the excellent athleticism to play in today's game and subsequently in the NFL. He's got tremendous sideline to sideline speed and above average awareness for the position. Because of his offensive background, he has a really good sense of what an offense is trying to do to him and knowing how to get himself in the right spot to make a play. I think he's an excellent blitzer and should have an immediate impact on defense. Looking at the rest of the top 10, I think this is a really good class for the inside linebacker position. Deshaun Davis of Auburn and Jeff Allison of Fresno State are guys that pursue the ball carrier with a purpose and try to make every tackle that there is there to be made out there on the field. I think Davis has fantastic functional strength and is a great run defender. Devin Bush of Michigan has excellent athleticism and takes great angles to the football. He was a big-time player on their defense, especially in the pass defense department. He has A+ football awareness. Trey Watson of Maryland is a player that has played a lot of football both at Illinois and also this past season with the Terps and is really solid on both ends of defense. I'm actually a big fan of Trey Lamar's game out of Clemson. I think what gets lost in the discussion about him is how good his football instincts are for the position. While he may not be the most explosive athlete that some are in this draft class, he's able to overcome that by having great anticipation, trusting what he sees, and taking great angles to the ball carrier to make the tackle. Lamar also doesn't miss many of those tackles. I think he can be an effective A and B gap blitzer at the professional level and reminds me a lot of the Mario Davis of the New Orleans Saints. DeAndre Wallace of Towson is a criminally underrated backer that brings a variety of skills to the table. He's got really good acceleration, solid on both ends of defense, and has a knack for making a big play, whether that's an interception in the passing game, whether that's a forced fumble generated because of his hustle, or a sack because of his speed and acceleration. Wallace is able to make that play happen. He was also big in the Tigers' biggest of games like Maryland, Wake Forest, South Florida, etc. He's a terrific athlete that should find a home at the next level. Moving on to prospects 11 through 20, and we'll start with Troy Reeder of Delaware. The former Penn State Nittany Lion has a great feel for the passing game and seems to always find himself in the right spot to make a play on the ball. He's got really good awareness for the running game as well, getting good run fits and also being a factor at or behind the line of scrimmage. Looking at the rest of 11 through 20, and both Jelani Tavai of Hawaii and Tyler Morrissey of Westchester play the exact same game in my opinion. Both are taller backers that are heavier, that have the versatility to play inside or as a Sam backer at the next level. You just hope Tavai has shaken the injury bug that has seemed to plague him at Hawaii. Morrissey was the defensive leader for those Ram squads throughout the course of his time there, earning many All-PSAC honors and All-American honors in the process. I'm also a big fan of Anthony Flory of App State and Charles Bell of Delaware's game. Both guys are more along the lines of your two-down run defenders who have some skills. Keep an eye on Florida A&M Rattlers linebacker Gibreel Hayes Lee. He's another versatile defender that can play on the outside as a pro. He's got ridiculous closing speed to the ball carrier and is an explosive tackler upon contact, letting you know he's there arriving in a bad mood. He had a stellar week at the FCS Bowl back in December, showcasing the skills necessary to be a three-down player in the NFL. I just think he's scratching the surface of how good he can really be moving forward. Ben Burke of Washington has excellent pursuit skills. His sideline to sideline speed really makes him a premier prospect. He really puts ball carriers in the bind because of that, because now they have to quickly make a decision before they're ready to do so. He's best as a sub backer on the inside at the next level. Looking at the rest of the prospects 21 through 30, Ryan Brady of Holy Cross was a tackling machine for the Crusaders and one of the best backers in the FCS. Brighton Barr was back for another season at UMass and is one of the more instinctual players in the draft class. You can also put Buffalo's Khalil Hodge in that same category. I'm a big fan of his game. I also like what I see on tape from Javon Ferguson and Darius Christmas. Ferguson showed some really good fluidity on film, while Christmas could even end up as a strong safety at the next level. He's got outstanding football awareness. I did a lot of Morgan State broadcasts this season, and DeAndre Whitaker was one of the best players I saw in the MEAC this year. He runs like a safety and seems to always be around the football. He's got really good value as a blitzer and could also serve as a weak side linebacker in a pinch. He's a very athletic and versatile backer to keep an eye on. Duke Blue Devils linebacker Giles Harris reminds me a lot of an old school inside backer, pretty good point of attack defender that is able to get through the trash well and make the tackle. Another backer that can plant and accelerate with the best of them as far as blitzing is concerned. And rounding out the inside linebacker rankings with prospects 31 through 37, it's hard not to like the game of Dakota Allen of Texas Tech. I feel like he's been there forever, but that just speaks volumes to how many plays he's made for that Red Raider defense over the course of his career. And quietly, the MEAC is becoming the cradle of solid linebacker prospects. Trenton Bridges of Bethune-Cookman has some versatility to play sandbacker as well, in my opinion. Once his decision is made, he gets to the ball carrier in a hurry and arrives again in a bad mood. He's another player that's pretty solid in space, whether that's versus a run or in the passing game. He's going to be effective on all three downs. So that's a wrap here from the Football Game Plan Studios. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts. And don't forget to check out and subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast. We can find our Scout Team podcast, which has a lot of 2019 NFL Draft prospect interviews. And also be sure to subscribe on YouTube to the Football Game Plan Network, located at youtube.com/footballgameplan.